Charles Leclerc has been open from day one that his ambition is not to only be a Formula One world champion, but to be a world champion with Ferrari. It's a statement that we hear and repeat on a constant basis. It's his way of expressing his loyalty to Ferrari. But that loyalty has been tested over his 7 seasons with the team through their failure not to turn his ambition into reality. And you could say that he's been tested to the extreme in 2025. It's a year that Ferrari will quickly want to forget. Leclerc is a proven race winner, and he is without a doubt one of the best drivers on the current grid. But the one thing that is missing from his CV is a world championship, and in order to achieve that, he must have a car that is capable of fighting for one. The worry is, though, that he is entering his prime years. Charles will turn 28 later this month, and he still has multiple years left on his current contract. So it's starting to get a little now or never for him as far as winning a championship is concerned. He must have that opportunity. But with this season having not gone to plan, and Leclerc fearing that Ferrari may not nail the big regulation changes coming in 2026, now is the time to talk about how his loyalty to Ferrari is under more stress than ever before. Leclerc is currently contracted to Ferrari until at least 2029. He signed a multi-year deal at the beginning of 2024, which was an extension of his previous deal that he signed in 2020. And it is understood that there are performance clauses included in that contract that could allow him to leave as early as 2027 if Ferrari's results don't stack up with Charles' wishes. Like I said, Leclerc has reiterated his love for Ferrari and his aim to be world champion in red countless times over the years. He most recently said this at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Charles told reporters in Baku, "I love this team very much. I think that's the answer. I've always loved Ferrari, and that's where I draw my motivation from, because I want to bring back Ferrari to the top, no matter how long it takes. I'll do absolutely everything until I stop believing in the project, but at the moment I'm fully into it. I'm fully working on it, and that's what motivates me." I think it just goes to show what driving for Ferrari, but also what bringing them back to the top means to show he is fully invested in making this happen. But truth be told, on paper, this objective is harder than it looks. I mean, if we're being honest, since Charles joined Ferrari in 2019, I don't think they're actually any closer to winning a world championship, something that they haven't done since Kimi Raikkonen became world champion in 2007. There has been occasions in the past where Ferrari actually did look as though it may be able to mount a title challenge. I think of 2022 as an example. Ferrari came flying out of the blocks that season, but for a variety of reasons, their title challenge faded because of poor strategy, poor car development over the season compared to their rivals, and a number of pit stop errors. Going into 2025, expectations were high after a really strong end to the previous season. Ferrari arguably ended 2024 with, on average, the fastest car, because upgrades late in the season saw them make a late surge in the championship, and they just missed out on winning the Constructors' Championship to McLaren by 14 points. And because of this, we were all expecting that Ferrari would carry over this momentum into this year and they would be in the mix for both championships. But in fact, it's been the complete opposite. They've actually gone backwards. When the SF25 was rolled out for the first time back in February, Fred Vasseur made it very clear that it was 99% new compared to its predecessor, with the main difference being that it had gone from having a push rod suspension to a pull rod suspension. And it's that change in particular that has had a massive impact on why Ferrari has struggled so much this season. Going back to the second race of the season in China, I think that can be viewed as the race that derailed Ferrari's 2025 season, because it was there that both cars were disqualified. One was disqualified for having too much plank wear, and the other was disqualified for being underweight. And this gave Ferrari a bit of a dilemma, because to avoid this happening again, it had to set up its car in a way that it couldn't run it too low with too much downforce, because in that way it would then possibly cause excessive wear to the underneath of the car. So to manage this problem, what Ferrari have done is ask their drivers to use a lift and coast technique and avoid curbs at several of the Grand Prix this season. And what that has meant is that Ferrari simply cannot extract the maximum potential from the car. If we look at the championship, Ferrari has now fallen behind its rivals. It is currently third in the standings. It is still currently in the fight for P2 in the championship, but at this moment in time it looks clearly the fourth fastest team, and it just looks as though that they haven't got any answers to turn this form around, and the drivers are becoming visibly frustrated. Leclerc's frustration boiled over at Singapore over the team radio as he was forced to manage a brake problem for the majority of the Grand Prix, having to lift and coast pretty much from the early laps. And even though he managed to compose himself in front of the cameras, his words after the race were pretty blunt. I think reality has set in that the rest of the season is going to be just as tough, and there's no magic fairy dust or magic solution to turn this around and fix it. Singapore looked like the first time since he's been at Ferrari that Leclerc has looked like he was losing faith, losing patience in this project. It's almost as if it suddenly hit him that this dream of his to be world champion with Ferrari may not happen. The narrative going into 2025 was about if Charles could prove himself against a driver of Lewis Hamilton's calibre, a multiple world champion, and he has absolutely ticked that box. He has comprehensively beaten Lewis over the course of this season. But to have his hopes of being in contention for a world championship built up and then eradicated year after year is naturally going to be tough on him mentally. It would be for anybody. I think that now Leclerc's patience is now starting to wear thin. I think that this actually only increases the pressure on Ferrari to hit the ground running with these new regulations in 2026, because if it's not competitive, then Leclerc will start looking around at his other options for 2027, and he may decide that it is better for his career to move on, drive for somebody else, and put his dream of winning for Ferrari on hold. The way things are going, there is a real risk of him missing out on a championship during his peak years. He does not want to be considered as one of the best drivers in Formula 1 history to never win a world championship. He is too talented to have that associated with his name. So the way I see it is now or never for both him and Ferrari. Well guys, there you have it. That is it for today's video. Be sure to like the video, and if you are new around here, please do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.